It is a satanic espionage that has come against you for such a time as this, and you're being attacked in ways you don't even understand. You get depressed and you don't even know what you're depressed about. You'll be driving down the road and you feel like, I don't even want to go to work. I don't even want to be me. Look at how extreme it is. It's not just I don't want to go to work today. I'm sick of being me. You feel like crying and you don't even know what you're crying about. It is a satanic attack attacking your mind.
Because after you spent all night spinning, all day spinning, in your head, and what if they, and you know, it starts with the most innocent thought. It's not, the devil's been at this a long time, sweetie. He's not gonna give you a bad thought. He's gonna try to give you an innocent thought and get you to take it in the wrong direction. A scenario that on the surface doesn't seem that bad, but it's the way you spin it. It's like Fox News and CNN. It's one story they're telling, but it's spinning different ways. And it's how you spin it that determines how you see it.
Worry is like rocking in a rocking chair all day. It keeps you busy but gets you nowhere. At the end of the day, you'll still be in the exact same spot, just going back and forth, back and forth.
You know, we're all writing a book. What's your book look like? You got a bunch of chapters in your book, but when they close that book, how good was the book? How good was your book? If the ending to my book can be so amazing because of all that was done, all of the things that can be associated with you and your existence become a part of the chapters in your book. So my drive is about my book.
You got to come up with some times in your life that you unplug from this crazy world. Turn your phone off. We live in a world today that's got us so focused on everybody else that we're comparing our life to everybody else's life, and anxiety and fear come whenever you start dwelling on the past and whenever you're afraid of the future.
An anxious and a worried mind is not normal, but you know what? You're going to worry until you finally realize that it's useless. It doesn't help your problem. Doesn't solve your problem. All it is us saying, I think if I think about this long enough and worry about it long enough, I can figure something out. That's not going to work.
The only way that you actually step into happiness and joy is when you put the focus on where you are at and get engaged with the thing that you're doing.
What's the old story you keep repeating? Maybe it's not a success. Whatever you've achieved up to this point, that story you keep talking about, every second you spend in that old story about what you've achieved, your degree, some business you had, every time you live in that story, you're stripping time and focus from the new story. What's the new story you're telling yourself? You can't have a new identity without a new story.
What are the things that you need to let go? Some things that have cost you pain, that's stifling your growth and development. What are those things? What is it that you need to do to begin to upgrade your skills or your knowledge? As you begin to look at yourself and ask some of these questions, what is something that you're good at? Let's think about these things. What would you do if you had 1 year to live and guaranteed success in anything you decided to do?
Don't waste another minute trying to convince someone to like you, to come see you. If you have to talk them into it, they are not for you. They are a distraction. It's not your job to straighten them out. Let God fight your battles. Don't fight battles that are not between you and your destiny. You're not supposed to engage in every conflict. You have to keep your face set. Most of the things that come against us are simply distractions.
Now you can keep on the same path for the next couple of years as you have the past two. But if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last two. And anybody who wishes to do that can. And you can do it between ages 40 and 43. You can do it between ages 60 and 62. Any 2 years, any 5 years that you wish to drastically change from the previous 5, you can do it.
You're not the nut you used to be, but you're not the tree you're gonna be. But until you learn how to appreciate where you are in the process, you won't get the power to evolve to your ultimate destiny. It's not what's happening to you that's hurting you. It is the threat of what could happen to you that is stealing every good day you got. You can't enjoy the good days because the enemy is threatening you, so you don't get any peace when things are well, and you don't get any peace when things are bad. Because when things are good, you're worried about them going bad. And when they're bad, you're dealing with what bad happened, and you haven't had any rest. You've had sleep, but you haven't had rest. You're tired when you get up. You're tired when you go down. You are up under attack.
Because whatever you identify as the source of your stress determines what you consider the source of your peace. And that's why I don't like to blame people for my stress. Because if people brought me the stress, then I need people to change for me to have peace. But I'm past the point in my life of wanting for people to have to act a certain way, for me to have peace in my own heart.
Every morning when we wake up, we need to empty out anything negative from the day before. Somebody offended you at work. It's easy to let that offense stay. Feels good to carry around a grudge, but you have to be disciplined. Say, no, I am not giving this offense any room. They hurt you once. Don't let them continue to hurt you by holding on to the offense. Being offended is not harming them, it's harming you. It's taking up space you need for the good things that move you toward your destiny.
This is not happening as fast as I thought it would. I thought by now I would have had the promotion. I thought by now that I would have had a breakthrough. I thought by now I would have paid off my bills. Oh, but friends, I wish today that we had a pantry door measuring stick for your faith. If you could look back throughout the years, what you would discover is that mark by mark, you have been maturing. You have been growing. It's just been little by little. I know you're not where you want to be yet, but baby, you have come a long way. You're growing gradually.
We need to grow emotionally. You can't keep crying about the thing you cried about last year. You can't keep complaining about the thing you complained about last year. You have to learn. You're growing. You can't keep being overwhelmed by what you were overwhelmed with last year.
What is no longer needed? What emotion, what anxiety, what thought, what belief, what person is no longer needed in my life? I never tell the old story. I don't like telling the old story. I'm constantly trying to write the new script, become the new character in my life. It could be the new beliefs I have. It could be the new story, but I'm constantly retelling a new story all the time. I'm constantly obsessed with writing the next chapter of my life, not reading the previous ones.
It's one thing to cry about that last year, but you've grown. You learned that lesson. Don't go backwards, move forwards.
You're in love with tomorrow, but you're neglecting today. And when God sees you neglecting today, he will not give you tomorrow. Until you are faithful over the few, you cannot be ruler over the many.
There are going to be times when your circumstances are inconsistent with your dreams. And in those moments, you have two choices. Number one, you can reduce your life to your present circumstances, give up on it. Or you can believe your life will catch up with your dream if you won't quit and won't give up. Never allow circumstances to change the dream God has put in your heart. Never.
If it works, it's obsolete. Because whatever it is, it will be obsolete before long. And this is something I think each of us should check ourselves against regularly, weekly, if not daily. We should ask ourselves, what am I still doing the old way? Have I dug myself a rut or two that I'd be better off to climb out of?
The next time something comes against you, ask yourself, is this a battle worth fighting, or is it simply a distraction? That coworker that leaves you out, doesn't give you credit, do you think they can stop your destiny? That somehow they're more powerful than what God has ordained for you?
It is a spiritual attack that comes against you in spiritual ways. And because you are up under attack in your spirit, in your mind, in your emotions, you are lonely. No matter who you're around, no matter how many people know you, you end up alone because you are up under a private battle that you can't talk about.
Just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes and ask yourself, what do I need to do today to challenge me, to reach my potential, fulfill my strengths and the purpose that I have in my life? If you challenge yourself and follow through on it, it'll be the greatest challenge and give you the highest return of any challenge that you'll ever receive.
You must prepare for success, even if there is no indication of it. You must prepare for success, even if you have become accustomed to failure. Take the time to prepare and prepare hard.
The greatest value in life is not a bank account. The greatest value in life is not a car. The greatest value in life is this: make a note, living a good life. In the midst of all of our achieving and building and growing, helping other people, being a part of society and the country and the world, being all of this stuff, here's what you must figure out all of your life: how to continually live a good life.
I know there's something in you. I know there's something about you. And there's something in you saying, I want more. I want more. I want to be happier. I want to fall in love again. I want to do more than where I am right now. You never know. This might be the day.
Most people will not challenge the unknown. They won't just step out there. See, there are certain things that's got to be in place. They got to see it all together. And life isn't like that. That's not how you grow. So as you look at your life, as you begin to look toward the future, you're saying, I'm not getting what I want. Begin to know that whatever it takes for you to create that, you got that in you. You got that. Identify your gift and get busy with it. God gave all of you a gift. It is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your gift. Get busy at that. He put that gift inside of you. He didn't hide it under a rock or put it under the mountain or put it on the mountain somewhere. He put the gift in you. That's how you become successful. Identify your God-given gift, what he gave you at birth, and get busy with it. Now, some of you that said, you know what? I'm taking a chance on me. I'm going to build something for me. This is the entrepreneur's economy. Don't give up on that. Hold that vision tenaciously. Through all the frustrations, through all the failures, I built my business on rejections, on who do you think you are?
When you look at your life and start asking yourself a question, what does my life look like right now? Does it look like something I want to be in? Ask yourself that. What does your life look like? And what's the benefit of holding on? What's the benefit of being afraid? What's the benefit of not trusting yourself? What's the benefit of staying right where you are, a place that you don't like to be? What's the benefit? Don't let no's intimidate you. Don't let not knowing where to start intimidate you. Leap anyway.
Of the 5 things that you would like to do if you had the courage to do, I want you to pick one thing, and here's how to set it up for yourself that will help free you and get you unstuck. What is the worst thing that can happen if you do it? But let's say going into business for yourself, or changing careers, or getting a divorce. Do the worst case scenario. Now, when you do the worst case scenario, you write those things down, the worst things that you fear would happen. When you name your fears, that puts you in control. What are you afraid of?
I think there's a different level for you. I think there's a different level for you to get obsessed, crazy, laser focused. I say all the time, our obsessions become our possessions. When you're laser obsessed focused, your obsession distracts you from what you're currently doing, not the other way around. You're not really obsessed with it if you're easily distracted from it. And so the only way we get to that ultimate version of ourselves is by replacing ourselves and growing all the time. This has to become an addiction for you. For too many of us, we like to grow. And every time you don't make it an emergency, it's not a crisis, you're not in a hurry, you never get there. And the truth is, whether you know it or not, you are either growing or you are dying.
Get better. There isn't any of us that can't get better, starting a few steps from here at that convention. I'm telling you, for things to get better, you got to get better. Don't ask for it to change out there. Ask for you to change here. Don't ask for a more favorable wind. We call that naive. Just ask that you can get wiser and stronger and better. Learn how to handle the seasons better. Let's go through them. Just get better at handling the winters. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself.
We need to grow. You need to grow, and it needs to become an intention of yours. It needs to become an obsession of yours. You can't always acquire the things you want, but you are in control of acquiring the next version of you. And that requires being uncomfortable. That requires growth.
Get stronger. You can develop the muscle. You can develop the courage muscle. You can develop the dedication muscle. You can get stronger in style and personality, the ability to cope, the ability to handle with anything that happens, no matter what happens.
What is your wake-up call? What is controlling your thoughts? Is it the television set? Feeding your mind images of what life should be? Is it drugs or alcohol numbing your brain and diminishing your desires? Or is it weakness, a lack of discipline that prevents you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish?
If you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed failure. When you're trying, you're going to fail. You have to make sure that your dreams and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option.
I'm not saying that there aren't things in life that we just have to do. There are. But what I am saying is ask questions. Don't believe everything that you're told, and don't follow the path just because it's there. Don't get in line just because other people are. Get up. Be conscious of what is creeping into your mind. What are you letting in there? What is forcing itself in there? You have only one life, so don't waste it.
Take inventory of what you're giving space to. Life is too short to go through it with negative things holding us down.
Every action and every discipline today is a link in the chain. Every action and every discipline in the future is a link. When you can see that every link in the chain will eventually lead you to the things you want most out of life, then you won't grow discouraged or impatient with today. When you can see where you're going through visual chain thinking, even on the toughest days, you'll keep building your ambition by knowing where you're going, not just where you are today.
It's easy to go around worried about our future, stressed over our finances. We're tempted to live guilty because of past mistakes. We wonder why we don't enjoy life, why we can't sleep at night. It's because our mind is cluttered. You weren't created to live guilty, bitter, upset. If you're going to reach your destiny, you have to clear out the clutter. You can't stop negative things from coming, but you can keep them from staying. You don't have to hold on to them.
Your plans and goals are your visual chain, knowing where you're going before you get there. Develop a plan, a game plan. Here's the first rule for your game plan of life. Don't start your day until you have it finished. Don't begin your activities of the day until you know exactly what you plan to accomplish. Don't start your day until you have it planned. That value is the fruitful result of discipline, not hope. Once you've mastered the art of planning your day, you're ready for the next
When
level.
we make mistakes, guilt will come, telling us how we don't measure up. You can hold on to it, go around down on yourself, or you can let it go. You have to be proactive when it comes to keeping your mind in peace, because all through the day there's clutter. There's noise, there's jealousy, there's hurts, there's offense. They may come, but you don't have to hold on to it.
You can be all big and muscle bound and still not have no force behind your punch. Force, energy in motion. You can't have energy sitting. Energy is measured by motion. Sit down and shut up and feel sorry for yourself. I feel a determination in here this morning. I feel a fight in here this morning. Don't you get 40 and get tired. Don't you get 50 and get tired. Don't you get 60 and get tired. I'm not talking about a bad man. I'm talking about a good man. Don't you sit there and say, oh, that won't happen to me because I'm good. No, it's going to happen to you because you're good. The reason the deal went down is because God ordered you to go up the steps. He didn't intend for you to go up the elevator. You got there too fast, you wasn't going to be ready for it. He slowed down your process. He let the deal go down. When it's time, it's going to happen. When it's time, you're coming out of trouble. When it's time, can't no grave hold your body down.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Your imagination is the evidence of things not seen. Because your imagination, you are the only one who can see it. Your imagination is God showing you coming attraction He has for you. Your imagination ain't no hocus pocus. This ain't just you coming up with these wild and random thoughts. God shows you something He has for you. The problem with your imagination is you tell it to the wrong people.
Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real. A guy living in an area where he had some new neighbors, and these neighbors had a bulldog. This bulldog used to chase him about a half a block from his house every day. He would just run. This bulldog would be right on his heels. He just got tired of that. He would go walking casually along, and this bulldog come out of nowhere. Woo! He'd run home. So this one day, he just got tired. The bulldog was running after him. He started running. He saw a rock, and he stopped to pick it up to throw at the bulldog. And he started barking. He realized the bulldog didn't have any teeth in his mouth. And so, you know what? Most people go through life running scared from things that have no teeth in them because they're false expectations appearing real.
What if I never get married? What if you do? How much time are you wasting worrying? What if this pain in my side is something serious? Go to the doctor, get checked out, but don't spend 3 years worried, then find out it was nothing. Jesus put it this way: don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have enough worries of its own. God has given you grace for today. You don't have grace for tomorrow. Don't try to figure out the next 5 years, play out all the what ifs. The what ifs will depress you. The truth is, if a what if does come to pass, God will give you the grace to handle it. What if the report's not good? What if my loved one doesn't make it? What if I do get laid off, Joel? Then the peace that passes understanding will be right there waiting for you. God promises He will arm you with strength for every battle. We may not know what the future holds, but we do know who holds the future. Now, don't miss today worried about tomorrow. Today is a gift. We can never get this day back. I believe, like with me, many of the things you're worried about are not going to happen. If they do, it's not going to be as difficult as you think. You don't have the grace for it today. And sure, we should plan, we should use common sense, but at some point, you have to turn it over to God and say, God, you know what's best for me. You said you'd give me grace for every season. Just like you clothe the lily of the fields, just like you feed the birds of the air, I know you will take care of me. It's very freeing when you learn to turn things over to God. You're not supposed to go through life weighted down by worry, stress, anxiety. Start lightening your load. Go back to the still waters. Empty all that out. Really, it's important every morning. You should start the day off in peace, not stressed, hurried, rushing around. Look at the sunrise. Listen to the birds singing. Breathe in God's goodness. Thank Him for His blessings in your life. Hebrews talks about entering into the rest of God. That means you have a problem, but you're not losing sleep over it. You know God is still in control. This is one of the main ways we show God we're trusting Him, by staying in peace. Not up when your circumstances are up, down when they're down. You're stable, you're consistent, you're in the rest of God.
2002, the Houston City Council members voted for us to have this facility. It was a 2-year battle. We'd worked hard, convinced different council members, and God caused everything to fall into place. The vote was on a Wednesday morning. That evening, we had a great celebration at the church. The next morning, Victoria and I and our 2 small children went out of town to take a few days off. We were on cloud 9. We couldn't believe that it happened. Got to the hotel and started unpacking our bags, and my brother-in-law Kevin called. He's our administrator. He said, Joel, a large company just filed a federal lawsuit to try to keep us from moving into the Compact Center. They said we violate the deed restrictions. I asked him what that meant, and he said it means that we can't move into the property because it's tied up in the legal system, and the attorneys say it can take up to 10 years to resolve, and there's no guarantee that we could win. I hung up the phone, and Victoria overheard the conversation. She stopped unpacking and said, Joel, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go down to the beach. She said, what are you going to do there? And I said, I'm going to swim. She said, aren't you worried? Aren't you stressed? Aren't you upset? I said, no, Victoria, we've done what we can do. Now it's in God's hands. And I told her, I'm not going to worry about something that I can't change. I learned my lesson. I'm not putting up another worry tree. I am going to stay at rest and trust God to fight my battle. Are you losing sleep over something you can't do anything about? As long as you're honoring God, being your best, then you can rest. You may be facing an illness. You can't make yourself get well. Of course, do what you can. Use common sense. But at some point, you have to turn it over to God and say, Lord, I trust you to bring the healing. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my life. Worrying doesn't help you to heal. Living stressed, uptight, studies show that weakens the immune system. Come back to a place of peace. Or you may have people in your life that are not making good decisions. You can't make people do what's right. Don't let their poor choices sour your life. You have to protect your peace. Don't go the next 20 years all worried about somebody else. Turn them over to God. If you'll get off the throne, so to speak, and stay at rest, then God will get on the throne and do what you can't do. In His own way, His own timing, He'll make things happen. But really, if God is not changing them yet, what makes us think we can change them in our own strength? And sure, we should be good examples. We should pray. But what I'm saying is you shouldn't live stressed out over somebody else's poor choices. You have a destiny to fulfill. You need your energy, your wisdom, your creativity to become all God's created you to be. Are you trying to change things that only God can change? Your load will get a whole lot lighter if you'll turn it over to Him and enter into His rest. Acts chapter 12, King Herod had Peter arrested and put in prison. He didn't like the fact that Peter was a follower of Christ. Peter was in the dungeon, chained between 2 soldiers. The next morning, he was going to be brought to trial. Herod had already killed James. It looks like Peter would be next. You can imagine what Peter must have been thinking. But that night, an angel appeared in the prison. He went to wake Peter up, but Peter was sleeping so soundly, the scripture says the angel had to shake Peter to awaken him. Now, if you knew the next day your life may come to an end, you were in great danger, would you be sleeping soundly? Or would you be pacing the floor, stressed out, God, please help me. God, please don't let them kill me.
Faith is the belief in things that you cannot see. You can never lose faith. That's the key. You have to believe in something that you can't see. You have to believe when you don't see no way how. You have to buckle down and keep believing. Everything God wants you to have, he puts it in your imagination. Albert Einstein said imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Everything you imagine is God showing you a preview of a coming attraction he has for you. And he puts it in your imagination so you can see what he got for you. So if you've been imagining that you're going to be rich one day, it's because God wants you to be rich. Now, when you going to ask him for it, and are you going to wait for it to happen? Or are you going to lose faith? I've been wanting to be on TV since I was 10 years old. You know how old I was before I got on TV? 38. 28 years after I wrote it on the paper, I want to be on TV. It took me 28 years to get on TV. But it happened at an appointed time. I just never gave up the faith. I kept going because I didn't know how to quit. Because I know if I quit, it cannot happen. But if you stay with it, you have no idea what can happen for you. You can't quit, man. You got to stay with it. It's somebody having it way harder than you, and they didn't give up.
Will there be some times that you want to give up? Yes. When you get into a tight spot and everything goes against you until it seems that you cannot hold on for a minute longer, never give up then, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn. Never give up then, and that is so important. When you're working on doing the things you want to do and fulfilling your dream, and things happen, there are times when your energy feels so depleted that you want to give up, that it looks just totally impossible. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, don't give up then. That's when you've got to fall forward, when life is kicking dirt in your face. Don't give up then. That's when most people turn back. If you've decided that this is what you want to do, you've got to become courageous to stand up within yourself, to face it and step forward.
We all face difficulties that don't look like they'll ever change. We don't see any sign of things improving. It's easy to live discouraged and accept that it's not meant to be. What you're up against may look permanent. Seems like it's going to take years to get well, years to meet the right person. Don't be fooled by what you see. Trouble is only temporary. Soon you're going to see the breakthrough. You may not see how this can happen. You're looking at it in the natural. We serve a supernatural God. He can make things happen that you can't make happen. Joel, it's already been a long time. That means you are very close to seeing it turn around. You're about to see freedom, promotion, dreams suddenly come to pass. Soon that new door is going to open. Soon you're going to come into overflow. As long as you think it's going to take years, that's going to stop God from working. When you have this soon mentality, you get up each morning with expectancy. This could be the day that God shows out in your life. God owns it all. One touch of His favor and you'll have more than enough. One idea, one contract, and everything will change. Your mind will tell you all the reasons it's not going to happen. The people that you're up against are too powerful. It's been that way too long. Don't believe those lies. The problem will soon be over. The loneliness will soon be gone. These present troubles will not last very long. The scripture says rain falls on the just and the unjust. The rain doesn't discriminate. Don't get discouraged by difficulties. It's just life. It's not that trouble won't come, but the trouble is not going to last. When you're in difficulties, came down with an illness, people at work turned on you, it's easy to live worried. You have to remind yourself it is not permanent. Soon it will resolve. When Job looked at all his circumstances, all that he had lost, he got depressed. One reason he was so discouraged is he saw the trouble as permanent. As long as he had this forever mentality, he felt overwhelmed. When you have a setback, thoughts will tell you it's permanent. You'll never be happy again. If you believe those forever lies, you'll get discouraged and lose your passion. If the trouble was too much, the sickness too great, he wouldn't have allowed it. It's a test. What are you going to do? Give up on dreams, live defeated? Or are you going to believe that God is on the throne, that the trouble is temporary, that it's not going to last long? And at one point, Job changed his attitude. He got up out of the ashes, looked up toward the heavens, and said, I know my Redeemer lives. I know this difficulty can't stop my destiny. He shifted to an attitude of faith. God let us see both sides of Job to let us know it's okay to feel things. It's okay to start there, but don't finish there. Don't stay defeated. At some point, you have to do like Job and say, I know my Redeemer lives. I know this problem is not permanent. Lord, thank you that it will soon be over. When you live with this soon mentality, all the forces of darkness cannot keep you down. Job's situation looked permanent, but God not only turned it around, but Job came out with twice what he had before. God never brings you out the same. He makes the enemy pay for bringing the trouble. The entire book of Job is about his struggle. You would think it went on for 40 years, but some commentaries believe the whole struggle was only 9 months. What you think is going to take years. Like with Job, it's going to happen sooner than you think. You're about to see his hand bring healing, divine connections, promotion. It's not by your might, but by the Spirit of the living God. The sickness, depression, anxiety is not going to stop your destiny. Why don't you get in agreement with God? You may not see how. The sickness too great, the opposition too strong. You're not in this by yourself. The Most High God is fighting for you. Sooner than later, you're going to see the hand of God turning situations around that look impossible. But it's easy to live with this forever mindset. Switch over to a soon mentality. I know some things take time, but God promises us in this verse, soon the trouble will be over. Well, what if I believe and this doesn't happen? What if you believe and it does happen? It probably won't happen if you've already accepted a long time to get well, to meet the right person, to accomplish that dream. I'm asking you to believe for sooner than later. Even if it doesn't happen as soon as you like, but I've made up my mind, I'm going to live with the soon mentality. The trouble is temporary. You may be in a difficult time, but that's not how your story ends. That person that walked away, the bad break, the unfair situation is not going to stop your purpose. After the trouble, there's going to be great joy in your life. Don't be discouraged by the trouble. It's not stopping anything God has for you. You're not losing anything. What belongs to you is still coming your way. Your latter days will be better than your former days. Your story doesn't end in defeat. Injustice, sorrow, those are temporary seasons. God has already lined up an after this for you. He said what was meant for your harm, He's turning to your advantage. You're about to step into an advantage, step into favor that God has already lined up for you. If you'll stay in faith, you're going to come in to your after this. Come back to a place of peace. God is going to get you to your destiny. That cancer is not bigger than our God. That breakup didn't stop your purpose. God is behind the scenes right now working in your life. Your time is coming. It's going to happen sooner than you think.